So we've all kind of moved past the idea that the brain is this, isolated command center in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us get the gut and the brain talk to each other.
Well,
But I think there's a gap in understanding how that really happens.
it's not just a metaphor. It's not just about having butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're looking at a great article by Everblink Healthcare that lays out this complex biological highway. It's about inflammation, neurology, everything.
It really is. The source material calls it the gut-brain axis, and it describes it as a hardwired bidirectional network, a two-way street,
And a key player here is the enteric nervous system, the ENS.
which is often called the second brain.
And that's not just a cute nickname. We're talking about millions of neurons literally embedded in the lining of your gut.
It acts on its own in a lot of ways, but it's constantly reporting back to the main office, so to speak, through the vagus nerve.
That's the main physical line.
It is. But the article makes a great point that the conversation isn't just electrical signals, it's also chemical.
Which brings us to the microbiota. Trillions of microorganisms.
Essentially a hidden metabolic organ. When that little ecosystem is healthy, they do amazing things, like produce short-chain fatty acids.
Well, butyrate.
Exactly, butyrate, which is crucial for repairing the gut lining and keeping inflammation down.
But the flip side is where the problem starts. If that balance gets thrown off, dysbiosis.
The gut barrier can become permeable. That's the whole mechanism behind what people call leaky gut.
And when that happens, things that are supposed to stay in the gut get out.
Right. Bacterial components, specifically something called lipopolysaccharides, can escape into the bloodstream.
And those are not good. They're basically pro-inflammatory toxins.
Yeah, the immune system sees them, flags them as a threat, and that's what triggers systemic inflammation.
Yeah.
Not just in the gut, but everywhere.
Which creates this really nasty feedback loop with stress, right? The HPA axis.
The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, yeah. So, psychological stress spikes your cortisol,
Which then degrades the gut lining, which causes more inflammation.
which then sends signals back to the brain that make you feel even more stressed and anxious. It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
It's vicious.
Mhm.
And maybe the most staggering fact in the whole article from Everblink Healthcare is about serotonin.
Oh, yeah, the 90% statistic.
That around 90% of your body's serotonin is made in the gut, not the brain.
It's an amazing number, but we do have to be a little precise here.
Okay.
That gut-derived serotonin doesn't just, float up and cross the blood-brain barrier into your head.
So how does it affect mood then?
It's a signaling molecule. It
Wow.
interacts with all those nerve endings in the gut.
The vagus nerve connection we mentioned.
Exactly. It changes the weather report that the brain is getting from the body. If the signals coming up that nerve are chaotic because of gut inflammation, it's going to influence brain function.
So given all this, Everblink Healthcare argues for a much more integrated approach.
You can't separate psychiatry from gastroenterology anymore. It's all one system.
So what can you do, practically speaking?
Well, nutrition is the foundation. The source points to fiber from whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. That's the fuel for the good bacteria to make that butyrate.
And fermented foods, right, like
Yeah.
yogurt, kefir.
Absolutely. And on the other side, limit the ultra-processed foods that can damage that protective gut lining.
But it's not just diet. They also talk about lifestyle, sleep, exercise, mindfulness.
Anything to dampen that HPA stress response, you have to break the cycle from the top down and from the bottom up.
The article did have a small warning about probiotics, though.
A good one. They called them psychobiotics, which is a cool term,
Yeah.
but they stress that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You can't just take a generic pill to fix such a complex network. It needs to be individualized.
It really redefines holistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not some fuzzy concept. It's a biological reality.
Right.
Your immunity, your metabolism, your mood, it's all the same conversation.
If you ignore one part, you're missing half the clinical picture.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over. If your gut is a second brain that produces most of your serotonin, how might your next meal effectively be a conversation with your mood? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.